Now, this is a tool actually used for, just like we said, automated scanning. To quickly go back to the question that was asked, previously. I know the person that actually asked the question. I didn't look at the name. I think it's Mr. Joshua. Okay, Mr. Joshua. Now, he said something. Mere looking at the link, we discover that it is not secure, right? I'm going to use that as a perfect case study, or a perfect scenario to explain what I've been talking about and how I want it to be. I give you like up to like 5 subheadings. I gave you 1, state the vulnerability. 2, description of the vulnerability. 3, impact of that vulnerability. 4, like the link. That's the link that where you can find it. 5, you can give us a proof of that vulnerability. 6, recommendation. Now let's quickly go back to the website. We're going to use that example he gave to properly explain all these 6 subheadings now. Looking at this login page, if you look at the login page, you discover that it has this. You can see not secure, right? testphp.voneweb.com login.php. Now let's say we get to copy this. We copy this. We open a new tab. Let's say we get to paste it here. What can you see here? HTTP, right? What does it tell you? It tells you that the connection from we to the host server is what is not secure, right? So now, what is the title of the vulnerability? That's what the vulnerability name. Remember the first this thing. Like I said, group leaders, you can actually jot this thing down. I'm using this one as an example, and it's actually a very valid example. The moment you notice this at first, sometimes you don't just jump and start scanning. You calm down to do your recon, calm down to observe something. What can you're actually working with the website, you're working with it, spend time with it and see what are those things involved and stuff like that. Now, one thing we can observe about this thing is what it has with insecure connection. It has with insecure connection. So that's the vulnerability name that we can actually call it. This is an example spotted by Joshua Maduka. So insecure connection, right? So now let's move on to the description of that vulnerability that is spotted. The description of the vulnerability that is spotted. How do you know is insecure? HTTP. It's HTTPS means we're using that TLS now. That's now HTTP is normal hypertext transfer protocol. But with HTTPS, can someone tell me the meaning of HTTPS? I don't check the internet to just say it. What's the meaning of HTTPS? Someone just quickly tell me. It's taking time. Okay, Mr. Daniel. So what's the meaning of HTTPS? Mr. Daniel, please unmute yourself if you are talking.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
HTTPS.
Yes.
Hypertext transfer protocol. Secured.
You just said exactly. Thank you very much. That secured must be there. Okay, yeah. Good. So we continue. Now, going back to the site, we discover that this guy is not having that secured, it's not like secured. So the connection between this thing, we and the host server is not actually secured. Now, the vulnerability name is insecure connection. Now, the next thing is what? Description of the what of the vulnerability. Description of the what of the vulnerability. Now, how do we describe it? Now, you can say something like this. If a website is using HTTP, like that it's not using HTTPS. Everything that is sent from us, that's we, to the server, or it could be the request, it could be the response. Request is that we to the server. Response is now from the server to us. I'm sure you understand. Well, that time we're using Bob Suits to play around. So everything that is sent from we to the server can actually be read by anybody that is intercepting those requests. I don't know if you understand. Anybody that happens to intercept the request, or that happens to, like, let me say, use the word monitor, to monitor what we are doing, the thing can easily be read by the person. Yes. So remember that we did something about passwords being stored in plain text. They are not stored in um they're not stored in like they're not encrypted. So they are stored in plain text. So the request and responses actually like plain. I don't know if what I'm saying is I'm trying to break it down to yeah. What it also means is that unauthorized parties can actually access and read whatever we are doing over the internet. Now, on the other side, what we have on the other side we have HTTPS. What does it do? It transmits data in what in encrypted form. Even if you are to even if you are to intercept any of the request or response, you are not going to get it in plain text. You're going to get it in encrypted form. So you like look for a way to summarize what I've said, then you put it in what um you put it in you put it under the description. Now, what is the impact? Like the impact it can have on the system. Is it like a high? Is it going to have like a high impact, a medium impact, a low impact? If you think it's high, you can write it. If you think it's medium, this one there's no right or wrong question. Actually, it's not a right or wrong question. If you say it's medium, good and fine. If you say it's high, good and fine. But then you can't say something like this is like a low impact is going to have no. So now, what is the link? Remember, I said that the open is a link. You don't necessarily need to capture this thing with the login page. Just take away. You can take away the login page. Let's copy this. Let's create a new tab and we paste it there. Since it can show us, well, it's not showing us. Can you see? Since it can show us this, since it can show us this, this is what this is the link for it. This there's php.vonweb.com. But don't write it, write HTTP. Specify that HTTP. Now, what is the proof? Remember the fifth one is proof. Show us the proof. What's the proof? Click on this. Can you see what it says? Your connection to this site is not secured. Your connection to this site is not secure. You should not enter any sensitive. So this is the proof that what that this site is not actually secured, right? So what's the recommendation? Remember what the next one is about recommendation. So simple, just write. You can change the web page to HTTPS. How would they do that? One, it follows the step. Can get the you can get that SSL certificate. Get it from one of all these hosting providers. I think Hostinga or whatever. Just state it there, or just get one, or you can purchase one from one of these guys that actually host this thing. After that, you can now install it and configure it. I'm talking about that SSL, that SSL certificate. That's you see some websites when you check their listing, when you perform hosting on them. I've actually done. I think there was time I did maybe for my school or something. Then when I was in the university, so I discovered I think it has expired. Some of them their certificate will expire; they will not actually renew it. So install and configure it. Then you can now enable that HTTPS redirection. Then I think you are cool. So as you've already given the recommendation, you are fine. Are we cool with that? Now, moving on to, let's say we have a typical case study like this. Now we want to carry out that project or something. Like apart from the observation, noting down some things. First thing first, let us scan this thing. So we are going to scan this login page. For me, I'm going to copy this thing. Remember, I said there's a very high suspicion that this input field they're actually susceptible to SQLI. So you can just get SQLI cheat sheet and quickly test them there. Then you are good. You can also check for this thing. What's that? XSS. Check for it here. Then you're good. So let's see. Let's test the page. So we're going to go to our zap. Now I'm now in zap. Automated scan. Here I'm going to input the way I want to. Then what next? I will just what our attack. So it's going to first run like a spider. It's going to run a spider to discover website. After running the spider, you now run it properly. You can see that it's 100. You should now scan it actively. So you should scan it actively using the URLs that have been discovered by the spider. Now, while it is scanning it, let me quickly explain what you have here. ID, that's the PID, that's the process ID. You have the stamp, the time. You have the method. You must have heard of different method, get, post. Most likely we'll not talk about other ones like delete. You just get, post majorly. This is the URL. This is the code. Code, you know of all those response code. We talked about it in one of the classes. Response code. Sorry. Response code. 200 is for what? Okay. 400 is what? That's I think that should be like error. 300. That's I'm gonna mean 300. I mean like 300 series is for what? For redirection, right? 500 is for that should be error from the server end, right? So so we just have to wait till it finishes, till it's done scanning. By the time it's done scanning, we'll now go to the alert. This was just like giving us like an insight. It's giving like an insight as to where to find those vulnerabilities. It makes it like faster for us. So judging with what we've seen here, see alerts. This one is 0. This one is 3. This one is like red alert. This one is like medium skill. This one is like low. Then this one is just I think now look at it. Absence of anti CSRF tokens. So what are they now? Let's quickly go and read what they are talking about. This place has already given us an insight. Absence of anti CSRF token. Let's open it. Open it to see what we have. So this different site. Now for this one, just the general description that is telling us is about. Look at the general description that is like that is giving us. It says using this URL, login.php, risk medium, confidence low, parameter blah blah, and so there's something they call CWEID. There's also something they call CVE. That's the CVE. You should have learned of that in your Cisco course. Now, what's the description? A cross-site request forgery is an attack that involves that explaining what that one is, which we should know. Now, CSRF attacks are effective in a number of situations, including the attack has an active session on the target site. The victim is authenticated via HTTP auth, that's authentication on target site. Now, other information that we can see here. So this is actually giving you an insight that what cross-site request forgery can be carried out. So you can go through all these websites, all these links. See this link. You see this link. You see this link. Let's copy this link and see. Let's copy this link and see. Open URL in browser. We go to Chrome because it's Chrome that we are using. Chrome. So let's come here. Oops. I don't know why it said. Let's wait for it. It's loading. Let's open Chrome for us. I'm coming. If it's taking time to open the Chrome, we just copy this thing, this particular one. See http:/artist I'm looking for a perfect way to copy this thing. Could not start a session, blah 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 blah. There's no problem. Okay, don't start. All the best to you. Okay, see what's going to happen. I'm going to copy this thing. I'll copy this manually. There should be a way of copying this URL. Open URL. Copy URL. I don't want to explain what all these ones are, but just mere looking at it, you should maybe be able to know. Okay, we are going to copy it manually and do this thing. We'll copy manually and this thing. So the point is that when we copy this, please just take it. I don't want us to like spend time doing relevance things. When we copy this in https php vonweb.com/artist.php, whereby artist is equal to 1. So in the way you get to that page, there's high chance that CSRF can be carried out. Now in a situation whereby let's say CSRF is eventually carried out, or you try that CSRF, it don't now work, you can actually come here, mark it as false positive. We already know what false positive is, meaning it's giving us a positive answer, but that positive answer is what is false. Now that's that on that. If you are suspecting a particular this thing, you're suspecting a particular vulnerability is not there, you can come here, you can search for it. Let's search for SQL. Let's see. Number of matches 0. Let's search for SQL. So you can see bro, a lot of results. So let's check for this one that's capital letter, meaning http test.php vonweb.com/loginphp. If we copy this link to the site, there's high tendency that there's an input field that is there that is actually vulnerable to what? SQLi. I don't know if what we are saying is actually making sense. So same goes with others. That's if you can see like an input field in all these things. So now if you want to, let's say you want to, the same way I've explained all these ones, that's where you can also always go through all these things, all these alerts, and check out to give you insight as to those vulnerabilities that are actually present there. So if you want to generate the output, that you want all these things to be written in one document, you can go to edit, no, view, no, analyze, no, report. Thank you. Generate report. Generate report. I don't know. Can you see this? Can you see this generate report page? Okay, good. It's showing. Now, this description. Let's call it my file. So let's generate reports. Generate reports. So it's going to bring out the report for us now. That everything will be compiled in one place. So you can actually take the report somewhere else and start maybe working on your stuff one after the other. It has generated the report. Let me share the screen showing that. Please, I'm not saying that report that it has generated, you're not going to like copy it to. No, don't copy it. Some of them might be false positive. If you say that something is there and I actually test it and it's not there, that's like actually that shows that you did not do that thing. So looking at the screen now, you can see the report that's generated for you. So Zap is actually a tool that helps you to do that. Can you see content about these reports and stuff, summaries? So these are the alerts. It gave you everything, all the risk and the confidence of this risk. That's the confidence that it is there. So that explained everything completely. This is like a summary of everything that we have there. That's talking about the risk. This is like a summary. Now, if you want to go and check them one after the other, you can see. Okay, so that's that about that. Now, I would like to ask if you have any question as regards what I've said so far before we move to another aspect of, let me see, like another not like introductory aspect. Anyways, it's going to be like one of the still one. Remember that this thing I said it that is like one of the first things you should do, right? One of the first things you should do. There's another one that is one of the first things that you're actually meant to do. So maybe probably after doing this, you do now that's called like directory listing. Like directory listing. You scan through all the directories. You're not going to do them manually. You're actually going to use a tool called the Buster. So let me get the question from Babalola then before we proceed.
Thank you, sir. My question goes this way. The out of when we the first